Hey everybody, Ryan here. Welcome back to Global Conflict TCG. This will be a quick video. I want to just go over some of the lessons learned and show you some of the comparisons of my last 3 print runs of making cards for Global Conflict TCG using the Game Crafter. And like I said, just go over some of those lessons learned and hopefully help somebody out, down the road if they're trying to make their own trading card game, and maybe you can avoid some of the pitfalls that I fell into. So let's just go ahead and take a look. What you're seeing on the screen right here, this is there's 6 cards from 2 of my factions. So the yellow faction here, this is the SAA faction, and then the green, this is the UAF faction. I thought these 2 sets were really kind of the best representation of some of the changes that I've made, in the cards. And when we're talking about the changes in the cards, I'm really referring to the layout of the cards, the colors, the size of the images, things like that. Not so much talking about like the gameplay, not in this video at least. So let's just go ahead and take a look. We'll start with the SAA, and then I'll put the UAF into a better focus. So taking a look at the SAA cards, so the cards on the left here, this is my very first print run. You could tell by the darker color, just the smaller image, the way it's laid out. This is actually my very first print run that I did with the Game Crafter. And in a previous video, I discussed one of the mistakes that I made on my very first print run was the fact that I actually used the wrong file format, the wrong picture format. The Game Crafter recommends that you use a PNG format. I actually used JPEG on these, thinking that it might be better. I hadn't seen the rule, or not the rule, but the recommendation at that time. And really what it did is it kind of came out, it looks okay, but it came out with like this blue tint. And it's really evident when you look at the back of the cards. So looking at the back of the cards, it's the ring around the back here, or not the ring, but just the border is more blue than it is on this second print run where I used PNG format, where there is some blue, but it's supposed to be gray and blue, not just blue and a darker shade of blue. So that was one of the really big mistakes that I made at first. Also, I wasn't really sure how the colors were going to come through in the prints, so I actually used a darker shade of colors than what I probably should have, and so that's why they really don't look that great. They look very boring, and they're just not a very high quality print. Not because of the Game Crafter, but because of the way that I formatted them. So like I said, this is my first print run. These middle sets of cards here, this is my second print run that I got a few months ago. A lot better. So I did pump up the color scheme of the cards. You can see that the green pops a lot more. The yellow looks great. Has kind of a gradient type of deal going on. I improved, the card is actually really a lot improved just based off of the format. So switching to PNG format made a big difference as far as clarity of the text and clarity of the picture. Helped a lot. The color accuracy is a lot better. You can see the infiltrator here. This guy looks kind of blue, and now he looks kind of gray. Because of the PNG format, the hood actually is supposed to be gray, a greenish gray. But yeah, looking at the SAA, just looks a lot better, a lot clearer. And then looking at my third print run, so between the second and the third print runs, there's not a huge difference, except in this third print run, I went through and I really made some updates to the layouts of the card and the fonts that I use to try to improve the quality and the readability of the cards. So if you take a look from the second to the third print run, the image of the character is bigger on the third print run. So you can see here, I almost went border to border, and then I increased the height pixel wise. I think I pumped it up another 60 pixels, 60 to 80 pixels. I can't remember. But if I put them really close side by side, you can see the difference between the picture size, and it may not seem like a lot at first, but in my opinion, it makes a really huge difference when you're looking at the character. The character is just bigger, it's just easier to see. And I will admit, on some of my cards, I actually did go back into the photos and zoom in a little bit more, just so it's easier to see the character and some of the background. So those are, that was probably the biggest, most obvious change that I made from the second to the third print run. And then another thing that I did is if you look at the emblems, like up here in the top right corner, and then the attack emblems for the attack cost, I actually changed those. Instead of being like a flat picture or a flat image, I changed them to a 3D image, so you can see they poke out like that. So it gives you more of like a Pokemon type of look. And so I actually take a look. This is actually kind of a really good comparison. Take a look at some of the Pokemon cards. I'll go ahead and move the UAF faction up front so it's a little bit easier to see. So there we go. But here's a Pokemon card that I had on my desk. But you can see what I was going for, when I was in the process of making Global Conflict. The game Global Conflict obviously plays similar to Pokemon. It's a similar type of layout, things like that. But this is what I was going for, and I took kind of a cue from Pokemon in the way that the energy counters are on here. They have, some type of border, or they pop out of the card. And so I did the same thing on my cards. I added a 3D effect to them, which just kind of lets them stand out of the background a little bit better, makes them easier to see. Another cue that I took from Pokemon cards that I did not do on my previous print runs is I actually changed the font within my description boxes. So like ability descriptions or attack descriptions, I changed the font. Instead of like my old print run over here where I'm using the standard Banker Gothic font that I use in the entire card, I actually changed it to a different font. I think it's, gosh, I can't remember the name. It's like Bowscript or something like that. But it kind of has like a similar type of build, but it actually has a upper and lowercase letters, which I know I've talked about on previous videos. You do want to keep in mind the type of fonts that you use in your cards. The way the human brain works, we a lot of times don't read the actual words in front of us. We look at the shapes of the letters within the words, and then our brain, as a shortcut, automatically recognizes the shapes and is able to infer what the word is without actually spending the energy to read the word. So with that, I put a focus on making sure my description boxes are more readable. I pumped up the size of the font from 5-point to 6-point font, and then changing the actual font type makes it a lot more readable. And it's actually very, very similar to Pokemon if you look at this attack description here. And that's just from a readability and a usability standpoint. And so, I'll probably come out, I guess, with a separate video just with some of the key lessons I'll learn. I'll lay it out a little bit better. But I wanted to show you guys just initially the 3 print runs that I went on. First print run here, second print run, third print run, and just kind of how these cards have evolved over time, over the last year. This third print run, I'm satisfied with it. I think that it looks fantastic. It feels fantastic in the hand. It's easy to read. The colors look better. I really just do not have very many complaints about this third print run. And I think this is what I'm going to end up going with for the final form of these cards. So I hope this helps somebody. Keep an eye, if you're making your own card game, keep an eye on those kind of things, like the readability, the color. Think about how the color is going to transfer. Oh, and one other thing too, this is going to be kind of really hard to see in the camera, it might be, but the background color on the second print run compared to the third print run. So the colors are exactly the same, but in my second print run, I actually added an element of noise into the background, so it gives it like a pixelated noise type of effect. It looks really good on the computer screen, but when it transfers over to the actual print card, it does not look as good. It actually looks kind of like dirt, or just kind of, not so much dirt, but it just starts to muddy up the card in the background, and I would imagine that the printer has a hard time delineating between text and then the noise of the background. So I actually removed the noise on my third print run. And so I hope this comes through in the camera, and maybe I'll try to zoom in a little bit if I can. With the noise being gone in the third print run, it is a lot clearer. The card itself has much more clarity. It's easier to read. It looks like the text was printed on much cleaner. I still have, some traces of like a metal grain in the card. That's just how my backgrounds are set up. But the pixelated noise is gone, which helps with the clarity. Really even helped with the emblems. The emblems being 3D and just getting rid of the noise really helped a lot too. So these are the kind of things that you kind of have to suffer through when you're making your own cards. I would try to spend as little money as possible when you do that first print run, just, you know, knowing that there's a good chance that it's probably not going to come out very good. You'll probably make a drastic improvement going to the second print run, and then from there to the third, you know, you'll probably get it darn near close to perfect. So I hope this helps somebody. This is what I tried. This is what I had to go through. Be on the lookout for another video coming up here pretty soon. I'm going to do actual structured tips and point out these same things again, but make it in a shorter video. Thanks, and we'll catch you on the next video.